Hi class, so today this video is going to review the handout Chemical Symbols and Formulas. And of course this activity, this knowledge, this skill will be very important going forward. And I think you'll find it one of the easiest assignments all year. So in order to do this activity you need a periodic table. Now there's the one I gave you as a handout, and that handout looks like this one. You don't need that one though, because you can look in your book or on the internet. You can just search for periodic table and you'll get all the same one. So the first thing you need to do is you need to know how to write symbols for elements. So for example, when looking at the periodic table, you look at atomic number 3. It says lithium. That's the name of the atom, and this is the way it's written on the front of the Chemical Symbols and Formulas handout. You need to write the symbol for this. Well, when you look at that and we zoom in, right, you see that's big L, little I. So we write big L, little I. Now the most common mistake that people make is they'll write big L and little I, but it looks the same size. The second letter, if there is a second letter, has to be smaller. So another common mistake I see is people write big I but write it really small, so they think it's a little I, and that's not valid either. Often the argument I get from students is, that's how I write my letters. Well, in chemistry you have to write the letters a specific way. So this is the only valid answer. Okay, and you notice from the periodic table that there's some elements which are single letters, for like potassium, for vanadium, for yttrium. There's only one, and there's a capital letter for that element. That symbol only has one letter, but many of them have two letters. And notice the first one is always capitalized, and the second one is always a lowercase or small letter. So you got to make sure you write your big letters and small letters very carefully and the correct size. Okay, so that is the basics of this. Let's pick another element and see how to write them properly. So we can pick manganese. Manganese on the periodic table is number 25. It's in that center region on your periodic table. So I'm going to write manganese. So if that was the question and you had to write the symbol, you would write capital M, little n. Remember, you can't write capital M and then capital N but make it really small. That's not correct. And you can't write a little n but write it really big and expect that to be read as a little n. It has to be much smaller than the first letter, at least obvious. Okay, so that can't be right. Only this is the correct answer. So that being said, now you have to know how to read formulas for the elements that are contained within a symbol. So if I write Ba, you have to find it on the periodic table. So I'm hoping that through this activity, this won't be so much as a Where's Waldo as where's the correct answer. So if you're familiar with Where's Waldo, you get that reference. So you can see here barium is atomic number 56, and you can see it has the name is barium. So we write next to it barium, and since that's the only element there, there's one of them. And this is how you do the back of the handout. The handout says, for each of the following formulas, list the name of each atom and the number of each atom, meaning how many there are. That's what that means. Okay, let's try another one. So if I say for W, for example, the symbol W, I have to look it up on the periodic table. So I scan for it, and I see it's right here, atomic number 74, and it says tungsten. So I write tungsten, and since there's no number next to it, again, there's only one of them. But now let's think of a more complex formula. So I'm going to write NaOH. So notice there's a small letter. A small letter indicates that this letter goes with this atom. It's one element. And we look it up on the periodic table, and that is sodium. And then O is a capital letter. Every time you see a capital letter, you know it's a new element. O is oxygen. And then you see H was a capital letter, and H is hydrogen. And you notice that there's no number in this bottom right hand corner, which means that there's only one of each. Let's do a slightly more complex one, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I'll write CaNO3 2, and this is calcium nitrate. So we see there's a small letter here, and that means that goes with this letter. So it's calcium. That's what Ca is. And you notice there's no number in this corner here, which means that there's only one calcium. Now that is a capital letter. That's nitrogen. And notice there's no number there, except there's a number on the outside of the parentheses. You know how in algebra class when you do 2 times x plus 2, and you have to distribute this, right? And it becomes 2x plus 4. And well, in chemistry, you distribute from the back. So it's 2 nitrogens. And the O, so there's an O right there, and that is oxygen. Now look, there's a 3 right there, right? Except that you're distributing the 2 as well. So you do 2 times 3, and that's 6 oxygens. So that would be, so the formula for calcium nitrate would be calcium, there's 1 of them, there's nitrogen, there's 2, and oxygen, there's 6. Let's do one more example, and then we'll be done. So I'll write the formula for ammonium phosphate. That's the formula for ammonium phosphate. You see there's a capital N, so you know that that's nitrogen by looking at your periodic table. And you see that there's no number right here. That means there's a 1, except there's a 3 here on the outside of this parenthesis, so that gets distributed. So there's 3 nitrogens. You see there's a capital H, and that means there's hydrogen. And you see there's a number next to it. There's a 4 right next to it right there. That means there's 4 hydrogens, except there's a 3 on the outside of the parentheses, so that gets distributed to there, right? So that's 12 hydrogens. The next one is a P, a capital P, and we look on the periodic table, and that's a phosphorus. And then you notice there's no number there, so that means there's a 1. Often people think there's a 0, but if it was a 0, you wouldn't write the element at all. For example, there's no calcium in ammonium phosphate, so you don't write it at all. And then there's a 4 next to this oxygen, capital O, so that would make it 4. So ammonium phosphate has 3 nitrogens, 12 hydrogens, 1 phosphorus, and 4 oxygens. I hope this video was helpful, and I'm sure when you try the handout, you'll get, if not all of them right, almost all of them right. So if you have any questions, please contact me. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Bye.